open. I went to school like every little girl. I came from a family of very clever people. My father was a lawyer, my mother was a lawyer. She goes on to become the second woman judge in England. Lot was expected of me and my brother. We were going to do well. Both of us most probably were going to go into the law. It was a given. A given is a horrible bird. No one ever serves it for anything. You can't eat it. A given is inedible. This big given started to fail. This coat that I am in this picture, I had to wear for years and years and years. It was the day before I got expelled from the school. They had invested a lot of money in a useless piece of uniform. They didn't realize it at the time. It got worse. I went to school, and like Alice, I thought this is going to be easy. I'm going to master this. I'm going to march through. I'm going to be able to do what I want to do. I'm not going to tell you what that is. I went to school, and they showed me this. Well, that is a cat, and it's in a hat, so I can read. There's no problem here. This is a cat in a hat, green eyes, got it. Can I go home now? No. Then my teachers started doing this extraordinary thing. They started going, I thought, oh my God, they've all got speech impediments. They're seriously ill. I'm in a school with a lot of people with real serious problems. I shouldn't be here. I go home. I say, do I have to go again? They say yes. They take away the picture of the cat. This makes my life very complicated. This doesn't look like a cat. It doesn't have a tail. It's got no body. Where are the whiskers? How do you know that's a cat? Why should those symbols be a cat? What does that mean? It got even worse. I couldn't find the cat in that anywhere. By now I'm 7, and it's slightly sweet. Only slightly, not to be able to spell your name. I'm called Sarah, I have an H in my name, and my H wanders all around. I don't know where it goes. I can't spell where I live. I have real problems on the whole thing of spelling. Never mind, I'm still young. I will get there. I'm put on a reading scheme. I'd like to introduce you to the most dullest, boring, technicolor nightmare of 2 children ever to be given into a reading scheme. I decided recently that our education minister, a buffoon called Michael Gove, that John went to work for him as a political advisor, and that Janet works for Ofsted. But let's roll the clock back to the misery that was my childhood. This is a line that I lived with from the age of 7 till I was 11. Janet and John had a ball. I never got beyond Janet and John had a ball. I was expelled from several schools. And by the time I was 11 plus, I still couldn't read, I couldn't write. Sally Gardner is not bright. I was thinking a little jazz for cats, a little, razzmatazz, anything, but had a ball. Now, what do you do when you're 11 years old and you're in school and you actually think you're going to die of boredom? I would like to share with you from Volume 3, The Murder of Janet and John. Oh, this is what was given to me before we get to the murder, that I was too stupid to learn. And being too stupid, I had to come up with something. I think I've gone backwards. I think that's what I've done. I'm not going the right way. It doesn't surprise me. Oh, yes, I see. I've got clever there. That was It's always a mistake. You play with these things and think, why? Okay, so this was a day, a red letter day. They got a dog. It was a red dog, a red setter. I was so excited. I thought, probably might have a heart attack. I'm 11. It could happen. I will die. The dog, it got a dog. It's even better drawn than the children. It's so exciting. Having studied these kids for so long, I know they only have a ball for a brain. I know they can't read, they can't write, they can't do anything because they only have a ball for a brain. This dog needs food. It needs someone who can give water. It needs help. They go to the seaside, up on top of a cliff, where the rocks are very steep and jagged far down below. The dog sees its opportunity as they throw the ball for the dog. The dog runs after the children, smashes them over the rocks, dead. The police come on their bicycles. Who killed Janet and John? I knew the dog did it, and I knew why the dog did it. By this time, I have been given a word. Oh, sorry, not that one. I've been given a word. And this word is just the most stupidest word I could ever have been given. I've waited for years to be told something was wrong with me. There obviously was something wrong with me. And they gave me a word. They gave me dyslexia. I thought, that's great. I can't say it. I can't spell it. Whoever thought this up was not dyslexic. We're now in a even more of a problem than we were before. What's wrong with you, Sally? I am deschic. I am word blind. Oh, that, dyslexic. I think it's one of the worst words we could ever have, and I would like to get rid of it because it doesn't really describe us, and it doesn't describe the country I live in, the way I see the world. And it is already for us a stumbling block, a huge stumbling block for nearly everybody who is dyslexic has to get over. I like this quote. And what happened to me in my education was that I finally ended up at a school for maladjusted children. They don't exist anymore. The one thing I did learn at a school for maladjusted children was how to become a pickpocket. I was rather good at it. Also, the village where the school was used to close when we were ever allowed out of the school, obviously because we would steal most of their goods. It was an incredible place to be. Nobody taught you. You couldn't teach the children. No one sat still long enough to learn. And most of them were on their way to prison. I managed at 14 to read. I read Wuthering Heights as my first book. After that, I decided never not to read. And I found the world in a book more preferable to the world outside the book. I was sent to a school for very nice children after that, with slippery shoes and horsehair uniform. And horrible, horrible, I hated this school. And I was told if I got 5 GCSEs, O-levels, whatever you call them, I could be allowed out of this torture zone called education. And I remember I studied and studied and studied and studied to do this. And I went to take my English exam, and my teacher was shaped like a bell. She literally was called Miss Bell and shaped like a bell. And she had little feet that went, you know those toys, you put them on a slope and they go down the ramp? She looked exactly like that. And she said, Susan. Now, it'd take me a long time to get myself to be called Sally. So now I'm Susan. So I said, yes, I'm Sally. She said, Susan, what are you doing here? I said, well, I'm here to take my English exam, miss. She said, why? Because I'm taking my English exam? She said, well, I would like you to when you finish, to put your pencil down very quietly, because there are children here who are going to amount to something, and you are not one of them. I left that school with 5 O-levels, and I went to art school. And from art school, I shot like a proverbial rocket up to the top. I left art school with a first-class honours degree. I won a huge, prestigious award to become a theatre designer, and everything that had been forecasted for me in education never came true. And I always ask myself this question, why did I believe when so many people who suffered as badly as me didn't? And I don't know what it was, and I think it was the ability to tell myself stories. I always told myself, one day I'll show you. Every time somebody said, you can't do it, I used to think, I can, and I fucking well will.